Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 20th day of February. We got through All-Star Weekend. We got the second half. Really, it's past the second half. It's close to the three-fourths of the NBA season. It has already passed. Got a few announcements I'm going to make after the break here about upcoming guests and how my show will be sectioned out tomorrow. Going to try something a little different. I've been thinking about for a while when folks are busy and they cannot interview exactly 8 p.m. Eastern time. So check. I'll give you that heads up here in a minute. Going to talk about Russell Westbrook. He's officially a Clipper from every report I'm reading now. Also, Charles Barkley was right. Read a new CBS mock draft, folks, about there's a lot of quarterbacks that is said to be taken, and Arizona, a little bit interesting, maybe the youngest staff ever in the NFL, the Arizona Cardinals. I'll be back with all that in a minute. I'll be back here in a minute in 19 seconds. Get this first break out of the way here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. After 5 years of doing this program once a week, balancing a 60-hour work week job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there. For $5 a month, 17 cents a day, you can help support the program. You ask yourself, why Sports Scope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is Sports Scope, again, spelled the same way. Or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, I'm back here live on all links, trying to get the tie squared away here. Famous comedian used to do that all the time, and I can't remember his name. Rodney Dangerfield. Oh, I tell you, it ain't easy, you know. I tell you, this ain't easy. Thank you, Pickles. So now, Russell Westbrook, he will be with the Clippers, and I'm as confused as the Las Vegas odds makers, guys. Check this out. Vegas has not changed their odds on them winning the championship. It was plus 900 before Westbrook had taken the buyout complete in Utah. He is going to sign with the Clippers, according to Athletic and according to ESPN, Adrian Wojciechowski. And they're one of their biggest fans, former LA native and former Fox Sports announcer. Now he's going independent. By the way, I'm going to try to get this guy on the program here in the next week or two. Marcellus Wiley, former NFL player and huge Clippers fan, Compton native. What does Marcellus look like? If for all of you that are fans of the hit movie Pulp Fiction with Samuel Jackson, Marcellus Wiley on today's news.
Westbrook to who? Go and take a seat right here, Brody. I don't mind if I do, player. Welcome to Clip City, Chip City 2023. Oh, we finally got our big three. So glad you got rid of those fakers, got rid of that trash. Now you with this treasure. Oh, man, they in trouble right now.
Fakers.
We got Ballers in the building. We got Balmer in the building. We got Brody in the building. Oh, I can hear that music now. Rising up, back on them seas. Clips, that is, not Crips. Oh, y'all done messed up, and y'all gonna funk around and find out. Clip City, Chip City 23 is finally happening.
I don't know if I'd be that enthusiastic about it here, Pickles, but I'll tell you what. And so I read this from The Athletic. Very interesting. Now, the Clippers have the number one. This is what The Athletic reports. The Clippers have the NBA's best offense since January the 20th. And like Pickle says, he won't even have to relocate. Remember Ty Lue coached LeBron, that LeBron James team back in 2016. He is very much familiar with coaching major egos. Paul George and Westbrook played together. Now, just like The Athletic says, he simply cannot be on the guy simply cannot be on the floor towards the end of the game. If you've got these writers here who, by the way, suck up to these guys like nobody's business, and I'll talk about what Barkley said and the Ben Simmons situation here in a little bit. But you look at a guy like Westbrook, 15.9, 6 rebounds, 7.5 assists a game, 52 games with the Lakers this season. Never even took a trip to Utah. He knew that he's not going to play for the Jazz. Danny Ainge knew that wasn't going to happen. The whole world knew that wasn't going to happen. There was a few other suitors for Westbrook. I want to say Miami. I'll tell you what, in Miami, I think him and Jimmy Butler would have killed each other. Somebody would have killed it. I mean, that's too much there. Too much headbutt. Now, according to ESPN, this depth chart right here says Terrence Mann will be the starter and Westbrook will be his backup at point guard, with Paul George a shooting guard, Kawhi Leonard small forward, Marcus Morris a power forward, and of course Zubac at center, backed up by Mason Plumlee and Robert Covington at third string. This is a pretty loaded team if you look at it. You still got guys like Nicholas Batum, Norman Powell, Eric Gordon. This is a pretty deep team. This team defends the wing really well. I remember just a few years ago, I thought that the Jazz were most definitely going. Remember that year, about 2 years ago, 21, that I thought they were definitely going to the finals, shot the lights out in the regular season. That didn't happen. This team, even without Kawhi Leonard, end up beating them and moving on. Of course, I want to say they end up getting beat by Dallas, but I'll say this. It's all about Westbrook, his situational, bringing him in about second quarter, to start the second quarter, midway through the second quarter, maybe have him start the third quarter, something of that nature. You simply you got guys like Colin Cowherd. You got writers from The Athletic simply saying, "Listen, this is the number one offense since January the 20th, on a little bit of a winning streak here. There's no way you're going to finish games with Westbrook. I mean, he just simply does not have." This simply does not have the awareness here. And he'll have to March 1st to secure buyout. For players who secure buyout until March 1st to sign with a new team in order to be playoff eligible. So this has to happen fairly soon. The day is the 20th. Now, again, and of course, like this article says, and most importantly, he's not coming there to be a third star. I'm pretty sure that and this is what it says at the end of this article. Westbrook presence helps George and Leonard to be at their best when it matters most. Even if Westbrook doesn't finish games, he cannot finish games. He takes bad shots. He has no self-awareness. He's often out of control. But you let a guy like Kawhi Leonard get a breath, and like I said, midway through this guy will be one of the best six men ever if he'll just play that role. And I'm pretty sure that the Clippers are smart enough to realize, hey, listen, this is our opportunity to get back to the finals. This is the first time ever as a Clipper that Kawhi Leonard seems to be pretty healthy. Hit a good game-winning shot the other day to beat Golden State. And he's starting to look like the guy from 2019 that helped the Raptors win a championship. I cannot guarantee you they're gonna get to the finals. I'm gonna have to watch a few games here with Westbrook to see if Corey says I like them come playoff time with Westbrook to see how they're going to use him in the rotations. My guess is they're not stupid. They're ran by a really smart guy. They're also owned by a really smart guy, and they're coached by a smart guy. Got to give Ty Lue credit here. Remember, the other coach could not win with that Cleveland Cavalier team. Ty Lue's got these guys buying in per se. I think Westbrook understands his role on this team, but I want to make sure that he's not finishing games. I'll tell you this: I'm looking forward to these last 23 games. Say, Robert, you sound like a broken record. Well, listen to these teams here. I am a little disappointed that also Patrick Beverley, he's been bought out. Now he's going to sign with the Chicago Bulls. I'm disappointed that he didn't go to Minnesota. He wanted to play at home rather than playing off with the contender. I thought that he was going to go to Minnesota. He would have been great with Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, and that group. I still think that Conley's going to uplift that Timberwolves team, very young Timberwolves team between him and Rudy Gobert. But Beverly would have been great on that team. He would have been great with that team. That didn't happen. But if you guys look at this standings here, did I say? Okay, here we go. Here I go. That's the way, Steve Harvey would say it. Okay, now, as of today, now we're on the All-Star break. I think the season starts back, Thursday? Okay, now the Clippers are sitting there at the 4th seed. They're 33-28, 6-4 in their division as of late, the last 10 games. Now, they are essentially 2 games. Actually, there's 6 games in the loss column. 5.5 games in a loss column at a second. I don't think anybody's going to catch Denver. Maybe Memphis, but I doubt it. They're 41-18. They're 41-18. Boston's 42-17. So I mean, they're vying for the best record in the entire league. I think Denver's going to end up getting that 1 seed, but that doesn't guarantee they're going to win. Jamal Murray's been hurt just about every year. You got to keep Porter healthy. Aaron, now Gordon's usually pretty healthy there at Denver. But, you look at this team, this very young Sacramento team. Now, Sacramento's 32-25. They could potentially catch Memphis or Sacramento. If they get that 2 seed, then I think this team can cruise, especially if they've got Westbrook coming in, playing his role. Man, God, it's 6 teams in 5 years. At some points, it's got to get through to Westbrook. Hey, look, man, it's you at this point. It's not everybody else. It's you. You got to look in the mirror. Here's a clear opportunity for you to get a ring. I would love to see the Clippers get a ring. Okay, I would love to see Chris Paul there get a ring with Phoenix. Now, Phoenix, this is going to be interesting. Look, at Phoenix is 32-28. I just said the Clippers are 33-28. Memphis at the 2 seeds 35-22. Right. So if you're looking at, you talk about a stretch run of 23 games there, guys. You're looking at a Minnesota team's going to be very competitive. Golden State, they're 500. They're supposed to get Curry back at some point. And the Lakers at 27-32 look really good against the Pelicans the other day. Don't think the Lakers are going to do anything, but what I do think the Lakers will do, they will knock out one of these upper tier teams in the regular season on their path to get in, because of the trades they made, how well they shot the ball the other day. I'm not going to go as far as Stephen A. Smith and say they're going to get to the finals and win the whole thing. It's too far of an uphill climb for them to do it. Same thing with Golden State at that 9 seed. Remember, everybody has to do this play-in thing, which I'm still new to, up until the 6th seed in the West. But think about this. Denver, Memphis, Sacramento, Clippers at 4, Kevin Durant, Phoenix Suns at 5, Kyrie Irving, and Luka Doncic at 6. The 7th seed now, they're probably failing. I don't know what Zion Williamson is going to be back or not with New Orleans. But then you got Minnesota and Golden State there. Even Oklahoma City is still competitive technically at 10. So this is going to be the most interesting last 23 games I've ever seen, okay? Particularly in the West. It's going to be an absolute dogfight. It's going to be an absolute dogfight. And I just don't know who's going to win. I do know that Denver's won a few rounds when they're healthy. They've won a few rounds. Memphis has won a few rounds. They won a round last year. They were in the playoffs the year before. There's a little bit more season now. The Kings are a total wild card there. But it comes back down to the Clippers, experienced team, Phoenix, experienced team. Dallas has won a few rounds. So this is going to be a no-holds-bar, excellent run down the stretch. And I'm not one to be hyperbolic about the bleeping NBA, but you got to call a spade a spade. That's going to be some really good, highly competitive basketball starting this week in the West, and I can't wait. I'm not exaggerating on that one. East, not so much. Really, it's going to be between Boston, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee as far as getting that 1 seed. Yeah. And Pickle says Memphis, Minnesota. That was a great matchup last year. Memphis comes out on top. That's why I wanted. That's why I wanted our guy. Oh God, what's his name? Patrick Beverley to come back to Minnesota. He just wanted to go home, and a much worse Chicago team and kind of F off there. I wanted him to go back to Minnesota, help Conley out. Keep Richardson. Kind of keep him squared away there, even though I think he's going to be fine anyways there. Anthony Richards there, the rising star, young, very young guy, very young, but very talented. Man, he's talented player up out of the Minnesota here. So I cannot wait to see this. Again, I'm a little disappointed in Patrick Beverley, but, Barkley was right, man. I mean, Charles Barkley, over the All-Star weekend, he made some comments indicating, well, let me play you this. Let me switch gears here. Charles Barkley got this soundbite played over and over the weekend, and he really makes a lot of sense. Now, everything I just said is fine. I do think that the playoffs are going to be great. I think the playoff chase these next 6 weeks or so is going to be really interesting, particularly in the West. Seeding is everything. I want to say the highest seed ever to win a championship was the 94-95 Houston Rockets team. They were a 6th seed. This league is way more competitive. This particular year, the last 2 years, way more competitive. It's going to be very hard for a 6th seed to win a championship this year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be one of the higher seeds. Again, it's only been happening one time, and that was the year that Jordan took off. Remember, he took off for baseball that year. So listen up. Charles Barkley on the state of the NBA, if I can find his comments. Here we go.
What the NBA is doing, they sending these dudes some messages like, okay, what are we going to do about load management? The next AUC going to come out like, okay, you can't take my money there and say you want to divorce me in 6 months to a year. Because you can only get the max from us. You can't take all my money then say, hey, I want a divorce. So I'm pretty sure that's the next thing that's going to come out of the CBA. I told you, I don't think there's no doubt in my mind these guys going to get locked out. But these owners, you can't take all their money and treat these owners and fans like crap. What these players are starting to do right now with Lowe's management, taking the money, then demanding to be traded. No doubt in my mind these guys going to get locked out. But these owners ain't going to be switching.
Yeah, and I do not think that is a big deal as far as load management. Remember, I was just talking about Anthony Edwards here. Okay, I'll call this guy Anthony Richardson. is a quarterback prospect out of Florida. I'll talk about him in just a second. Here's Anthony Edwards, young guy, man. It's like 21, 22 years old. He said, all these guys sit and rest and just play, man. I don't like all this sitting, missing games and stuff. These people might have enough money to come to one game, and that might be the game that they come to sit out, and you're sitting out. Even Kobe back in 2019, he said, you got a lot of people paying their hard-earned money to watch you perform. It's your job to be in shape. It's your job to perform at a level that every single night. And as a competitor, I'm not ducking that bleep with the S that rhymes with it. Okay, now mind you, Kobe is a guy that is, according to Phil Jackson in his book here, he wasn't the easiest guy to coach, and for him to say that, that is a lot of respect. And that was a later Kobe. So that wasn't a Kobe Bryant that was young and in great shape and he can run 82. That was Kobe in 2019 saying, no, and that's one thing I always gave him credit for. He was never out of shape. He always played hard. Now, sometimes he would protest and pout, but for the most part, the guy always came in out of shape. Barkley's also talking about stuff like Ben Simmons holding out to get traded, And then you've got, because he gets criticism and rumored to be traded, because the guy did not want to dunk the basketball at the end of a playoff run year before last, okay, just because he's being rumored to being traded the January beforehand, he wants to pout and complain after signing a massive deal in 2019. Instead of saying, let my play speak for itself. Michael Jordan, I remember Dad told me one time, he said, a writer complained about Michael Jordan playing defense or lack thereof it. That was in 87. In 88, he went back and won Defensive Player of the Year. I'll show you mentality. People complained about Shaq lagging here minutes and not coming in out of shape and playing very, what do you call, fly by night, passive basketball. He comes in, the Sarge, his stepdad, tells him that. Then he comes in, plays like a house of fire. He gives you 40 and 20. He didn't ask to be traded from the Lakers because he gets a little criticism from the outside. So going back to Ben Simmons. So you've got this Yahoo reporter, this guy holding out because he can't take a little bit of criticism, or he can't stand the idea, Ben Simmons, of getting criticized by a coach publicly, a media member. Who cares about the media, right? Fans on Twitter, who cares about that stuff, man? Just win. That's all outside noise, But I'm looking for this. Okay, this guy Ron Young for Yahoo Sports. He said this is the NBA media here. Ben Simmons reaches settlement to regroup part of nearly $20 million lost in holdout. Ben Simmons is getting at least some of his money back from the Philadelphia 76ers. Simmons, after a lengthy feud with the 76ers that resulted in him sitting out during the 2021-22 season settlement, as if it's some kind of technicality that they're trying to whittle away $20 million from this guy who's working his butt off playing for this team, and they're coming up with some kind of technicality to take the money away when nothing could be further from the truth. The guy just don't want to play. He don't want to be in Philadelphia no more after signing a massive deal in 2019. This guy, this writer, of course, that's why you can't trust the NBA media, because the players are cut off. Same thing with the Major League Baseball media. They've cut off access to you, and you can't really get a straight answer from them. That's why you had to go to places like my show, and sometimes the mainstream will do it. I'll give Stephen A. Smith, he will get in an NBA player's rear end. He actually said this. I said this last year when Kyrie pulled what he pulled last year. He said that maybe the owners, they should do a pay as you play. You play the game, then we'll pay you, at some point. But you got stuff like this Ben Simmons thing. And then the writer saying something like this as if they're really trying to get over on him. In fact, they fined him more than $19 million by February 1st. And then after he sat out a few weeks, then he says, oh, I've got mental health issues and my back's bother me. I need a back out of me. Like the guy from Dave Chappelle character from Half Baked when he was playing the rapper. But you got stuff like that, that's just over the top. And then, like I said, the load management going all the way back to probably 10 years with Greg Popovich, Mr. NBA guy, trying to be a great coach and all that. You got load management, and then that becomes a thing. And like I said, there's a record number of trades this past year. At some point, I think you got to go with non-guaranteed contracts. It's great for the NFL, not 100% anyway. So a portion of it, yes. But I do think that they should do that, have more stipulations in these contracts. I understand it's a players' league and all that, but everything has its boundaries, and as you can tell, the boundaries are really being pushed. They're beyond being pushed, and the game is really taking a hit for this, But and then on top of all that, you got a guy, a team playing pretty well. They're a 4 seed. The Nets were, and their best player coming back from injury, still mathematically, check this out. Still mathematically, and let me get this. So you look at, 34-24 Brooklyn. Now they're a 5 now. They were essentially 7-8 games out of first place with 23 to go. Yeah, they can make a run. Maybe they get third place. You got a home playoff game in third. Remember, the 3 will play the 6, right? The 3 will play the 6. The 1 will play the 4, and the 2 would play the 5 or something like that. And the rest of it is playing guys. You basically play playing guys. So you had a shot, man. You had a shot. But this guy simply does not want to compete. He's on a contract year. He doesn't want his play to speak for himself. He wants you to give him something for not doing nothing. It's gotten that bad. Now, we'll see how this plays out. The season won't end. The CBA won't end until after next year, my understanding, 23 and 24. I think it would be warranted. I've said this for over a year now. A lockout would be warranted. You got to let these guys know who's boss. We understand it's a players' league, but guess what? People want to watch these games. People want to watch these games. You're still working. People are putting out millions and billions of dollars. The NBA, do away with the load management, spread the games out, find teams like nobody's business that tries that crap anyways. As far as offering more incentive for a player to stay with their own team. You should have more restrictions for players wanting to play games like this and try to force their way out of town. Go harder on tampering. Maybe you have player-to-player tampering if another player's under contract. There's a lot of stuff, if you set your mind to it, that you can have. Try to get back a little bit of insurance here so you won't have guys like Kyrie Irving really stirring things up for the worst in the NBA, if you ask me. Owners write the checks. Yeah, they do write the checks. And I'm pro fan, like Kobe Bryant said. And that's true. These games, I talked to Carlos the other day, $200 to take his son to the game. Most people don't have that kind of money. Most people don't have that. NBA games are very expensive. And quite frankly, I didn't know this till I went to an NBA game about 8 or 9 years ago. With my friend Richard, here in Nashville, he saw the Grizzlies, and he was telling me that the tickets go up and down with who they're playing. The ticket isn't the same all the way through, 1 through 42. You got 41 home games. He said the tickets are up and down. That is a face value tickets go up and down per game. Now, I think that's ridiculous. Ben Simmons needs to grow a spine. Lawyers get a nice chunk of that cash. Send them to his room. Bill Walton never took games off. And yet, that's right. Pickle says never took games off. I mean, you had Michael Jordan, Bird, and all them. The season's been 82 games my whole life. Well, as far as I've been watching it since 89, 90, I don't remember the games not being any longer than that. I mean, these guys played 78, 79 games, But the All-Star break's longer. That was because LeBron complained, But I'll say this. Barkley's right. I'm glad Stephen A. Smith said something last year about it with Kyrie Irving. You're starting to get the bigger voices, what I've been saying for maybe almost 2 years now, that needs a lockout. And another thing, this whole China thing, it's only going to get worse. I mean, that's 15% revenue right there. You got to cut China off. You've got to have some player awareness with China. This is a player safety thing. Any players that are doing any kind of business with China, tell them you need to cut those ties off immediately. We don't know what type of this is a national basketball. It's not the world basketball, even though we got world players. It's the National Basketball Association. So that's one of the other things you have to totally cut. It's for player safety more than anything. Cut them off. It's a bad PR move to do any business with China, with their concentration camps. And I was listening to an interview with a lady from North Korea, moved here. I think it was Megyn Kelly. Said this girl's 29 years old, moved from North Korea, and she said, courageous. I can't remember, Kim something, right? I think everybody's named Kim in North Korea. But anyways, she was saying that she was going to have a movie done about her life because she lives here in America now. After escaping North Korea, through China, back to South Korea, which is a free country, then here to America. And the movie people wanted her to do a pro-China movie, and she said no. I mean, they're not too bad. They're not too far off from North Korea. So you gotta cut China off. Do away with load management. Give teams more flexibility. If you take away the guaranteed contracts, you can move players back and forth quickly. And I think the truth of the matter is the game will grow. Take some kind of coaching back in the league, some self-respect for coaching. And I think the game would grow. And on top of all that, throw in a 2-year minimum from preferably 3 to be on the safe side from college to pro. That doesn't mean a player can go overseas and other places and play. You can still get NIL. There's too much babysitting in the league, too much pampering, too much babysitting. Make it like the NFL. Make it 3 years to be on the safe side. Then you have a great game. And on top of all that, start the regular season Christmas Day, and then run the finals throughout early July, around the 4th of July, give or take a few weeks. Like the Major League Baseball, neither one of these leagues take advantage of the month of July. Great real estate down there. China's infected big colleges and university. Yeah, China's been a poison all over this place, and it's like a cancer, man. You just got to cut it out. I mean, it's going to take a while because it's spread. It's like stage 4, right? But you got to start cutting China out of everything, including the NBA. All right? All righty then. Quick announcement. Almost forgot. Tomorrow, I'm going to come on here and do a 30-minute show. But stay tuned. That next 30 minutes, just stay online. I'm going to have at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, Freddie the Pizza Man interview. Freddie, I've been on his podcast before back in 2018. He owns a pizza parlor out of Detroit. His pizza parlor was one that I want to say he got some money from, I don't know, what do you call it? I don't call it a loan. I think like a forgiveness loan or whatever from Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports. I'm going to ask him about that. And I'm going to ask him about the Detroit Lions. Really good interview. I'm going to talk to him on his way home from work. This guy owns a pizza parlor up there in Detroit. Wanted to bring Freddie on for a while. So Freddie the Pizza Man, now unless something falls through, I'm going to do a show. First 30 minutes, we'll cut off, but stay on. Then on SportsScope, you'll get to see an interview with Freddie the Pizza Man out of Detroit. That's tomorrow, Tuesday. Now, Wednesday, I'm going to have Alan Perez in here. He does a podcast on with Dan Dave Harris from, I think it's called Play It Again Sports here. Do a talk about the Cowboys with him, what got him involved in podcasting as well. Yeah, free pizza. Yeah. No, but Freddie, I tell you, he probably would if we went up there. Corey, he's the guy I told you I went on his podcast back in 2018. I'm going to explain this to Freddie that I just now started doing 5 days a week back on Labor Day. Guys, you all remember that, the Tuesday after Labor Day. I've been doing one or 2 days during the week, switching times off, and I've been wanting to bring Freddie on for a while. You know, yeah, he's a good guy. Freddie is, and pretty well he knows quite a few NFL players. I met Freddie through Twitter. We were both tweeting back and forth with the great Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was answering our questions. Tony Dungy, coach, Super Bowl winning coach for Tampa. And of course, the Indianapolis coach won that Super Bowl. Got a great book called Quiet Strength. He had 2 books out, but I read his first one, Quiet Strength. Really good guy. And Freddie's a good guy. Freddie the Pizza Man. He got the Godfather theme and stuff on his pizza parlor. I'm going to ask him about that and everything. Looking forward to that. Hope we don't have technical difficulties or anything like that. If we do, that's life in the big city. I will survive. Okay, switching gears. All righty then. Okay, so now CBS put a mock draft out. Put another mock draft out over the weekend. And I was reading through CBS's mock draft. Now, you guys know I had John here from Spitball Sports. Big Chicago Bears fan. Big Bears fan. The Bears, right? Like the guys from Saturday Night Live would say. And I just got a thing on my computer. Ohtani is going to explore free agency. The Angels start. That would be a huge story to talk about. The 2-way player from the Angels. I digress. All right, now, so this mock draft, guys, this is interesting. Okay, really heating up here. This mock draft from CBS has 4 quarterbacks going early in the top 10. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're the Bears and you're sitting there with all these holes on defense, they got some holes on the offensive line, not as bad as I thought. Remember, they're 14th according to Pro Football Focus. But the Bears got the number 1 pick. But if you think about it for a second, now Houston's got the number 2 pick. They need a quarterback, okay? They need a quarterback back. Arizona's not going to take a quarterback at 3. But the Colts have already let it be known through their owner, Jim Irsay, they need a quarterback. Well, guess what? Houston and Indy are in the same division. They're going to fight like all get out to get the higher pick. Houston's got the 2. The Colts have the 4. Okay. And also, according to this mock draft, and I do agree, the Vegas Raiders, they have the 7th pick. They just cut their quarterback, the starting quarterback in Derek Carr. Then on top of all that, the Carolina Panthers had the 9th pick. This mock draft, which I do believe there's some truth here, has 4 quarterbacks going in that top 10 with Atlanta, Carolina, the Raiders. Now, of course, Carr's going to sign with one of these. Carr may sign with the Jets. He was at the Jets pick at 13. There's no way they're going to get what they want. He visited the Jets this weekend. Okay. Washington ain't even listed in the top. They're 16th. Washington's 16th. One of these teams are probably going to make a serious run at Aaron Rodgers, but that team is not the Raiders, folks. Okay. Even though the Raiders have Devontae Adams, how are they going to afford a $30-something million cap hit with Devontae Adams and a $30-something+ million cap hit with Aaron Rodgers? It makes no sense. They have no team around them. Josh Jacobs is a free agent for the Bears. So my thing is, if I'm Chicago, I'm looking at a team like the Indianapolis Colts. I like their as far as the young coaches hired, I like Shane Steichen better than just about any of them from what the Eagles done with Jalen Hurts. So if I'm in the Indianapolis Colts, I'm going to have to trade up to get one, or I offer that 4 pick to the Bears for a 30-year player coming into year 3 of his rookie contract, Justin Fields, tall guy, strong arm, already says he would much rather play in a dome rather than Chicago. Hint, hint, right? Shane Steichen, the former Eagles offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. You give just a 4 pick for Justin Fields. Now, if I'm the Bears, I got the 1 pick. What if I want to take Bryce Young or Will Levis? I have my choice at quarterback. And I got the 4 pick, which this draft here, this mock draft, says that they'll take Will Anderson. Says that they would take Will Anderson, the defensive end out of the Alabama Crimson Tide at number 1 overall. Supposed to be the best edge rusher in the game. Okay. Well, you could probably get that at 4. Okay. You draft quarterback at 1. Number 2, they're going to take a quarterback, which is Houston. They'll probably take a pro-style quarterback. They'll probably take either Bryce Young or Will Levis, whichever one's available. All right. The 3 is going to be Arizona. They're not going to take a quarterback. They're paying Kyler Murray a fortune. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. They're going to pay Kyler Murray a fortune. They're on the hook for 3 years. Any way you shake it with Kyler. All right. So then you have the 4 pick, which is already going back to Chicago. They take Anderson, or they take the best defensive player. They take Anderson, or they take Carter, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. That covers you both ways, and you got your quarterback. So I do think that that would be the bet. You're getting a pick. You're still keeping your pick. You're getting another top 5 pick here, But if they wanted to trade up for the 1 pick, if the Colts wanted to trade for the 1 pick, well, you're not just going to give them the 4 pick. You're going to have to, then you're going to go back, and if you're the Bears, you're going to say, okay, who else is traded up? I don't know. Maybe the Washington Commanders a few years ago with Robert Griffin, where they gave up like 2 or 3 first-round picks. They took Robert Griffin. The same year they took at a 4th-round pick, they took Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins turned out to be the better player. So that's if I'm the Colts, keeping my 1 pick, trading this guy, getting a 4 pick, and Steichen can put Fields in that dome. They got 2 years to figure out if he can play. Let me tell you guys something. The Colts got a pretty good team. All right. Got a little off the rails last year. They overpaid for a bad quarterback, took a bad contract there with Matt Ryan. But remember, this team beat the Super Bowl champs this year. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. All right. They got a good offensive line. They got above average defensive line. They've got some players on the back end defensively. They got one of the better linebackers in the game, although he's coming off pretty rough injury. In there, they got one of the better running backs in Jonathan Taylor. So that's really all you need to win in this league. Now, then you have a rookie quarterback there on a rookie contract. You could put in that type of system that was added in from under Hurts, who also I thought had the same issues that Justin Fields has, problem making a second read, but he made it so quick. They need a receiver. You can probably pick up that through free agency or the second round if you're the Colts. And Pickles says they can run the ball, And, the Bears are in very good shape. If you got 4 quarterbacks, they're going to be taken in the first 10 pick. 4 teams that need quarterbacks. They need quarterback. Now, again, maybe Aaron Rodgers goes to one of these teams. I still think that Carolina or Atlanta would be the best fit for free agent Derek Carr, who he could sign anywhere, by the way. He could sign anywhere he wants. He's taking his time. He's seeing teams. His brother spoke out over the weekend. I read an article. He was quoted saying that Josh McDaniels wouldn't let Derek Carr call audibles. The guy's been in the league 9 years, and you're not going to let him call audibles? They didn't see eye to eye. It is what I thought it was, or afraid that it was going to be, if I'm a Raider fan, that Josh McDaniels has issues getting along with players. He don't have that much flexibility, I thought maybe he was just super young, and him and Jay Cutler were too close to being the same age. Jay Cutler ends up demanding a trade. He pulls an NBA thing, right? Well, they tried to fix that relationship. We know what happened. But Cutler got traded to the Bears, and this guy ends up drafting Tim Tebow, and he's out of a job 2 years later and back over with the New England Patriots. I got a feeling that's probably going to be the case. Pickle says maybe wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys trade for Aaron Rodgers. That may be something I can bring up to Alan Perez on Wednesday. He'll be with me the first 30 minutes of the program. Now, he'll be live. Now, tomorrow, like I said, we'll do 30 minutes, and then I'm going to show you the recorded interview with Freddie the Pizza Man tomorrow. But it's an interesting thing. It's something I do if I'm the Colts. And quite frankly, again, Ron Poles, who is the new general manager, he did not draft Justin Fields. He wants to reset that clock. This guy's got $98 million in cap room, $40 more million than the team in second, $40-something million in the team in second, and they got the number 1 pick. Wouldn't you like to have all that with the number 1 and the number 4? Essentially, you could trade the number 4 down. How about that? Instead of taking the best player, trade that down to 7 or 8 and maybe get one of the Raiders or the Panthers second-round pick, something of that nature. Maybe you get a king's ransom from a Washington Commander team coming up from 17 and fill it in that way. Trade that 4 pick that way. There's so many options that the Bears have right now. That's why I wanted to bring in John from Spitball Sports to talk about them, because they have the most interesting offseason by a mile, except for maybe whoever Aaron Rodgers goes to, which I still think the Ravens should be on the table for that, in my opinion. Okay, like I said the other day, if I'm not, I'm saying it now. Nobody wanted, I did say that. I said it to Carlos. And, like I'm about to tell you guys this. And I told Carlos this, and, nothing against him personally. But I'm not narrative guy. I'm not one of these people who jumps to conclusions. I like to look at everything on a case by case basis, because Eric Bieniemy doesn't get a head coaching job. It's racist, it's whatever. No, I want to make sure I want to see all the facts. I don't make my decisions on tired narratives or what I read off Twitter. I want to look at the whole situation. Arizona, I say that because Arizona, Brian Flores turned it down. I got a feeling that a lot of people turned down Arizona. I really do. You know, Jonathan Gannon, guy has an awful Super Bowl second half, man. I mean, totally just could not get a stop in the Super Bowl. He gets a head coaching job here at Arizona, you know. And now he's putting together one of the youngest staffs in the history of the game. His offensive coordinator is 35 years old. His defensive coordinator is the youngest coordinator that I can ever find out in the history of the game. This guy, what's his name? Riles? He's 29 years old. So you have a 35-year-old offensive coordinator. You got a 29-year-old defensive coordinator. Now, I did read that he's going to bring in some other veteran coaches to help out. But those veteran coaches don't have they simply don't have the title to really, he said possibly bring in Minnesota Vikings former head coach Mike Zimmer, one of the league's best mentors, to come in. But Zimmer supposedly is set to be part of Deion Sanders' staff. That was still in this article I read. Contrary of what Jim Jeffcoat said, that basically Zimmer was brought in, Deion Sanders, with the Colorado football team in college to be a figurehead for recruiting. But, I mean, this Drew Pitzing is 35 years old. He's never held that position before. And the same case with new defensive coordinator Nick Riles. I mean, this is what I think. I think Michael Bidwell, the owner, I think that he knows that, or he thinks that he's made a huge mistake with Cliff Kingsbury, and he made an even bigger mistake with extending Kyler Murray in year 4, and now he's got to eat it for 3 years. He's got to eat. If they cut Kyler Murray now, he's $180 million dead cap. That's your whole. That's the whole salary cap's $229, $224. So if you cut him now, so he's thinking that this team's going to be bad in 3 years. I bet he probably not for Gannon. I bet Gannon's probably the lowest paid head coach in the NFL. I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing. Because how can you have a Super Bowl like that with 113 million people average watching and a total defensive collapse? No sacks, no stops, nothing. You'll make this guy head coach because you couldn't find nobody else to take the job. Now, if you are an Arizona fan, if you're Kyler Murray, if you're Jonathan Gannon, this new head coach, that's exactly what you want. You want the same old Arizona team. The Arizona team where the old saying, Pickles, where players go out to die. Edmund Smith goes there in 2000 after just so he can get the Russian title. He goes sign with Arizona. J.J. Watt. Many playoff teams, including the Packers, wanted him. Nah, let me go to Arizona. A lot of good players go to finish their career out in Arizona. This is what I think it is. And I think Bidwell knows that. And he's saying, you know what? We'll accumulate some better draft picks. I made a mistake. He's thinking, you know what? Just pay this guy what I can, and we'll lay low for 3 years. I'll fire him in 3. His buy-in ain't going to be that big. And then we'll start fresh with a new quarterback, new coach, and a new attitude. That's my guess. That's my guess on hiring this guy. I do think Murray's talented. Now, he did say something interesting, this head coach. He did say that he's going to put Murray, he did say he's going to put Murray under center more. He says, we've got a package to put Murray under center. I'm thinking, what do you mean package? How about you just call one play? NFL Mike Garfolio, head coach Jonathan Gannon told Peter King on Kyler Murray, we're not going to put him in the gun all the time. I'll tell you that. We have two significant offenses with his skill set, one being under center, one being under the gun. In the last 3 years, Next Gen Stats says Kyler Murray has a 92.3 shotgun percentage. It's the second highest among quarterbacks during that span behind Jalen Hurts. Well, yeah, but they can't run the ball out of the shotgun. That's the same thing with using a Stroud or a Justin Fields. With the Colts with Shane Steichen, which is the Eagles' offensive coordinator. Yeah, put him under center and let him run the ball some. Not him, just give it to the running back or this guy's quick enough, he can pull off a play action. But my point is, you want people to think that if you're an Arizona fan. Because I thought that when remember they hired Cliff Kingsbury was fired from Texas Tech with Patrick Mahomes being his quarterback. A guy that I just rated the 5th greatest quarterback of all time. So this guy gets fired from a college job, gets hired a few weeks later in the NFL, and it wasn't that bad the first year. So he takes this undersized quarterback named Kyler Murray with the number 1 pick at 19, and the guy wins Rookie of the Year. They go 5-11 and look halfway decent, because the expectations were so low. 2 years later, they win 7 in a row. We're all thinking they're going to the Super Bowl. But then we find out that the spread offenses wear down as the season goes along, like Rex Ryan said. Like he said, because they're not running the ball from underneath center. And it takes more out of a running back to you to hand him the ball standing still and say, go make people miss. Go make people be a Superman. That kills me. But, of course, it caught up with him. Kingsbury is fired. But they're Arizona. They're out there in the desert. This team often has the more opposing fans than home fans. Even being an organization for, 30-plus years. You still got more Cowboy fans there sometimes. If the Steelers are in town, you're going to have more Steeler fans. You're going to be 50-50 on Packer fans, maybe more, And that's the way Mr. Bidwell's saying it. He said, well, I lost my general manager. I had to can this head coach, and we extended a quarterback that I'm regretting. His memory said in the offseason that he wanted Kyler Murray to rehab in Arizona, which apparently that's what he's doing. Kyler Murray seems to be getting the memo. He's been posting all these Instagram videos of him getting ready. Pickles calls him a coach killer, and of course, right, Michael Bidwell, kind of like the owner there from Houston, who went out and hired a 3rd straight defensive-minded head coach, and DeMeco Ryans. He's not the original owner; he's the son. It's easier to spend the money when you didn't have to break your back initially to get it, right, Pickles? It's easier to do that than so. So if you like the show, guys, please share the show, okay? Please. It's a lot of work. I was going over my taxes last night and going through my computer, and, man, some of the checks that I used to make before I started going unbelievable. But I'm nowhere near as stressed out and as irritated. But I am taking a significant pay cut here doing this job, guys. But you know what? Go after what you want in life. Be happy. Chase happiness. Don't chase just money. A day like today, I'd be driving it at rain, cursing under my breath, But, hey, took a significant pay cut. But, a lot happier doing this than standing out there doing that. But, yeah, if you like the show, please share it to get as many eyes as possible on this program so we can get some advertisement. Now, again, tomorrow I'll be on 8 o'clock Central. or 8 o'clock Eastern, and 7 o'clock Central, same time. We'll do 30 minutes, and then you'll hear a 30-minute recorded interview, if all works out right, with Freddie the Pizza Man out of Detroit. Got a good story to tell, okay? All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, here on Sports Scope.